Hi there. So you want to know why Kim Kardashian feels like an utter failure over this latest divorce? And more importantly, why should we care? I'm going to break it all down in this video, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung. I am an attorney. I am an author. I'm a narcissist negotiation expert. And in these videos, I teach you tips and tricks. I give you resources on how to feel powerful, how to become the best version of yourselves, and how to become the most persuasive person in any negotiation. So if that sounds good to you and you want more of that, feel free to hit that subscription bell, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. All right, so why does Kim Kardashian feel like a failure? Well, she made global headlines on February 19th when she filed for divorce from Kanye West. And the inevitable happened, right? I mean, everybody kind of figured it would happen. But in this particular instance, it was different for her because, yes, she had been married a couple of times before, but before she didn't have children. In this marriage, she really decided that she wanted to go the distance. She wanted it to work. She, really threw herself into it. She brought children into it. She followed him all over. There were episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where she was visibly crying, visibly upset, where she definitely showing her emotion about moving, that, she was upset about, sticking with him and supporting his every move and traveling with him. She didn't want to have to do that, but she really did want to support him. And, with the other ones, I think she was a lot younger. She didn't have children. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. I know that I can. I know, for myself, I was married once when I was younger, very young. I got married at 19 the first time. I had 3 children with my first husband. And then I got married again to my second husband. And, my husband and I are still married, my second husband and we've been married for 21 years. But, early on in my marriage to my second husband, we had some rocky times. We fought. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't want to have to get divorced again. And I think part of it is because there's still this stigma attached to, how many times somebody's been married. And it's, we have this sort of puritanical thing that goes on in our society, even though 50% of first marriages end in divorce. I think it's 67% of second marriages end in divorce and 67% of third marriages end in divorce. So we do not get better as we go along in this. So, and this is Kim's third marriage, so 73% of third marriages. So she probably wasn't bound to work anyway. But, I really think that she pushed herself into this. And apparently Khloe went on Keeping Up with the Kardashians and said that her sister Kim has been struggling privately behind the cameras about this. And Kim has been crying her eyes out over Kanye, saying that she feels like a loser for ruining yet another marriage, that, she's just, upset about the fact that she couldn't make this work. But here's the thing, and a lot of you who are out there who are watching this, who are part of my regular audience, are struggling with somebody who maybe is a volatile personality, which Kanye has proven himself to be. And I think it's public knowledge that he had struggled with some mental health issues and wasn't on his medication. And there were times that he was not doing what he was supposed to be doing. And it's difficult to stay in a relationship sometimes when you are with somebody who's extremely toxic and you're trying to raise children, and especially when you're in the glare of the public eye. And I'm not saying that Kim is any kind of saint. I don't know. No pun intended. Isn't that the name of one of her kids? No pun intended. But, relationships are hard. You have to be committed to them. You have to be committed to being committed. Sometimes there's always going to be stuff. And so if you have difficult personalities, especially toxic personalities, narcissistic personalities, you add bipolar in there, you add the glare of the public eye, you add people who aren't committed, you add the 3 deadly sins of marriage in there, which I've talked about before in some of my other videos. And by the way, I do have a video on the truth about Kim and Kanye's marriage as well, which you can definitely check out if you'd like. But I think that the reason that we should all care about this is because sometimes, we stay in these relationships maybe a little longer than we should. And sometimes maybe we're a little too hard on ourselves and we shouldn't necessarily feel like a failure. I think sometimes we take on guilt. Sometimes we try too hard to the point of we've lost our souls because we are afraid of what people are going to think, because we're afraid of what the neighbors are going to think or what our families are going to think or what the world is going to say. And, of course, you've got Kim Kardashian, who's got a gazillion followers on Instagram or whatever it is. And so she's got, seriously, the world is watching, the whole glare of everyone. It's like the fishbowl on steroids, right? I mean, when I went through my divorce, I just, I had like a couple neighbors in my family or whatever. I mean, some friends. I mean, I didn't have everybody's like face plastered to the, watching my every move and what did I have for breakfast or whatever, like she does. So I'm sure that she's had to deal with that. But, the bottom line is that you've got to do what you got to do to protect yourself, protect your soul, protect your children. I know for me, it was definitely a soul decision. I've spoken about this before, in your gut when it's right. I've talked before about Maya Angelou's book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, the soul being the bird and the cage being your toxic relationship. Your soul has to sing and sometimes when it's time, right? And I know for me, in my first marriage, it wasn't necessarily a toxic relationship, but it was not an example of a loving relationship that I wanted to be able to give my children. I wanted my children to be able to grow up and know what a loving relationship looked like. And so I made the choice to, I just remember thinking to myself, well, I'd rather actually be alone because, right now I'm alone in this relationship, but I'm not really alone because you're here. So like, I'm like alone, but I'm like resentful because you're here. So I'm not actually alone. Right. So I just remember having that feeling like, I don't want to be resentful. If I'm going to be alone, I'd rather be actually alone. Right. So, if you're dealing with resentment, if you're dealing with anger, if you've got like all of these sort of low vibrational energy stuff going on, then, it's not necessarily serving you. It's not serving your soul. If you're constantly feeling frustration, saying sadness, anger, resentment, you're being ravaged by all this stuff on a daily basis. It's going to eat away at you. It's going to eat away at your health. It's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve your children. Feeling like a loser, feeling like a failure is not necessarily going to help you. And so I think it's time for us that if a marriage ends, it's okay. There's no stigma attached if people break up. And I think, that's why a lot of millennials have just chosen not to get married, by the way. The divorce statistic for millennials is down because they just don't even bother getting married. The paternity actions are way up with them because they have children together. They just don't bother to get married. I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying they've chosen to just, okay, there's a stigma with divorce. I just won't even bother to get married because then I won't have the stigma, right? So, that's one way to avoid the failure problem. I just won't have that. So, all I'm saying is, don't take on that guilt. Don't allow yourself to feel like a loser because you are doing something for yourself. It's okay to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. And I want you to write in the comments right now, I'm being good to myself. And, hey, that's okay. I'm being good to myself. So for today, that's my message. Do what you need to do to take care of you. All right. So thanks so much for watching. If you are negotiating with anyone, feel free to grab my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet. Also join my free private Facebook group, especially if you are dealing with anything that I was addressing today. Get the support that you need, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me that comment, tell me you're being good to yourself, and feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. I'm Rebecca Zung. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I will see you in the next video.